Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Align Plans. This is Meshi, and today we're going to do a quick little casual chit chat about all the journaling systems that I have. I will kind of run you through my current lineup. We'll kind of take a look at what's working, what's not working. So, if you are on the fence of trying to figure out what journaling system might work for you, the then maybe this video will kind of help you bring some clarity through looking at what I have and what I'm planning on doing and what my strategy is going into this planner and journaling season. And my goal is that at the end of this, I'm going to have the clarity that I need so that I'm not overspending, and hopefully you will gain that clarity as well. So without further ado, let's just chit chat. Let's just chit chat about journals, shall we? Okay, let's get started. So the first thing that I wanted to mention is that obviously it becomes very tempting to kind of look at all the new releases. And I try my best. Right now, there's like this massive trend that's happening on TikTok with the Luis Carmen planners or the systems. And I mean, everybody and their mother is trying to get that. Anyway, so I kind of wanted to just show you what do I use on a day-to-day basis whenever I'm like carving out time and I'm thinking, okay, this is my time to journal. What is it that I actually use? So let's kind of talk about it. So the first thing, I only have like a few things in front of me, by the way. So it's not like this massive system. I have the Midori Hibino. This is a daily planner, but I use it as a daily journal. And I loved it up to this point. This is like the second year that I have this. And the reason why I loved it is because I was really attracted to having like 2 pages available in like one little booklet. I really loved the grid size at the time. I really loved the grid size. And everything just felt really compact and very well put together. I really love the idea of having like my monthly layouts, and even with the monthly, it felt really spacious to have like this huge grid on the sidebar plus having space in the bottom. It just felt like it would give me all the things that I needed for me to not only potentially kind of pre-plan, but then use my deco in a way that would actually make sense to me. And leading all the way up to, I think, so here's February's. I didn't really do a whole lot. I gotta be honest, I don't really do a whole lot with the monthlies besides decorating it. But when I do decorate it, then when I look back on it, I think that it looks really cute and well put together. So sometimes I skip a few months, and then when I come back, like August looks really cute. Like I love this sticker. And then here's September, and then now we're in October, so I can actually decorate this. I'm not going to decorate this on camera, but I love this because I just felt like everything was just so compact and so cute and so well put together. I talked about this more in detail in my previous video. If you haven't had a chance to see it, I talk about all of the Midori products. I'll just link it in the card so you can check that out. I like this because it felt like it was enough space for me to not only talk about like what's working, but then I could like talk about my insights of what I actually discovered that particular day. And so, that was sort of like the thing that was constantly pulling me back in, that when I would fill them out, when I would fill out like a full spread, it just felt really like complete. My only wish here was that sometimes instead of using the stickers, I wish that I would take the time to actually print out more pictures so that they are it's not that they're not my memories, but sometimes like stickers are not the same. Obviously, they're not the same as when I'm using like my own pictures, because then those are like really true like memory keeping type of journals. So I do have a craving for that a little bit. I do love these spreads though. So like there's nothing that I can really complain about. As I'm like looking back, I do notice that I am taking like lots of breaks as I go. So I do have like a lot of like blank pages. And that was sort of like my first like nudge to just kind of start paying attention, especially as we're moving into planner season, to really just double check if I'm still going to be going back to this. But this was definitely the thing that I'm still kind of like battling this a little bit. But I think I'm coming to the conclusion where maybe the 2 pages are a little bit too much for what I'm kind of looking for right now, or what I have. Essentially, what makes more sense is that what I have the mental bandwidth to handle right this moment, right? Where sometimes, like, especially if I'm tired. By the way, if you are enjoying this video so far, please make sure that you subscribe if you haven't had a chance to just yet. I release a video about 3 times a week for the month of August, so see how that one goes. And hit the notification bell. That way you get notified every time I release a new video. And let's just get back into more journaling. The grid bugs me. I find that the grid to be sometimes really small, and like it sometimes like it blurs my eyes. So that is just, one small feedback. So sometimes like the grid is bugging me, sometimes just the fact that I'm not taking the time enough to sit down with it. And I do have a sense of guilt kind of bubbling up that says, hey, like, why aren't you taking the time to use something that you really enjoy? And it's a valid point. Like, why don't I do those things? And sometimes it's just simply because I am not prioritizing it, and I'm not prioritizing it in a way where I can squeeze it right into my existing routines where it would make sense for me, right? So it's just, and that plus like the other thing that was sort of like, an issue for me is basically the cost of like how much it costs for me to buy this in Canada. If you're in Canada, for you to get a Hibino from Midori, it costs $94 if you buy it from like a stationery store. I'm not sure. I believe that like you can get it like from, obviously you can get it from like Yoseka and some of the other American stationery stores. I believe it's like 50 or 60. I think it's like 64 US dollars, which still ends up being close to $100 Canadian. So just kind of keep that in mind that if you're kind of thinking about it, it might not be worth it for you. It's worth it if this is what you're truly looking for. And I'm not dodging the price. I'm just saying that for me, when I reflected back on it, I'm seeing how much I'm not using it, or I'm not able to fit it into my regular routine, then it didn't really make much sense. So I think I'll talk to you guys about like what's sort of happening going into the next year. But this is my day-to-day journal. This is where we're at with the Hibino. The other one that I have is the Traveler's Notebook, and I have one insert here. So one of the inserts that I have here, this is a Baumkuhn. It's a Baumkuhn Travelers Company collaboration that they've done. It's basically just a grid notebook. But I mean, I love it. I believe that they're using Tomoe River paper in this particular insert. I will just double check it, and I will just write it here on the screen. I love this, and my only like thing with this is that this, like, I would love to actually end up here. Like this totally works for me. I did go through like a phase where like I try to use this more as a planner, or as more as like a day-to-day like commonplace book. I don't think that this particular insert works for that particular reason. I think I very much enjoy this style of journaling a little bit more, where I'm kind of checking in with it on a regular basis. And to be really, really fair, the grid size here in comparison to what you get with the Hibino, this actually works like 1,000 times better for me. These are like normal. I'm not sure what the grid size is. I believe it's either 3x3 or 4x4. I think it's a 3 or 4 millimeter grid. I will double check and let you guys know. But definitely a much larger, and I don't feel so confined as I did before. So I think that this would be ideal as my day-to-day like go-to, where you just kind of like write like a little reflection about your day. Sometimes I want to really do that here in the actual daily, like in the daily diary, which, the name suggests it's a diary, but really it's not. Like I'm using that more as a day-to-day planner. But here, like this would be ideal, where everything is in like one condensed system. And logically speaking, like if I'm thinking about like how I would use my traveler's notebook, it just makes sense for me to use this as, here's your daily, here's your weekly, here's your reflection, here's your monthly, right? So like it's almost like everything that I could ask for is in one system, but it's still separated and it's not in its own little booklet. My only hesitation with the Traveler's Notebook, if I'm being really honest, like I remember like I would always reach for the Hibino especially in the summertime because it's so small and compact. Like I think I just love this, that I just threw it into my little bag. And it was just so cool. Like I would just like journal by the pool when the kids are swimming, and it was just like a non-issue. It just felt like so easy. And maybe I'm just creating this mental block for myself with regards to the TN, where it's like it's too big, it's not gonna fit, and blah blah blah. To be really fair, like if I put this in the Delphonics bag, it totally fits. So I know that mentally I'm the one who's kind of psyching myself out, but I digress. I know that going forward, if I really want like an on-the-go journaling system, I could always just add like an extra insert here, which currently I do have one like little notebook. This is like a little grid notebook. This is from Yamamoto Paper, and they're awesome. However, I use this more as a commonplace book holder rather than as a daily journal. So if I'm really missing something, like can I like throw it in here? Can I throw like an extra insert here and then I have a daily journal as an on-the-go system? Yes, I could. Going into 2026, am I going to be on the go all the time? No, probably not. And if anything, like if I end up going to like a coffee shop, or I really want to bring my my TN with me, I will bring the regular size TN, I think, because then I actually have the space for me to like add the ephemera and actually write about it. That's just my thought process, but I mean, we all kind of like figure it out as we go anyway. So I do see myself like reaching for this more. At least I really want to try and see how I feel about it before I'm reaching for like a separate booklet. So that's how I feel about the Traveler's Notebook, that I'm leaning more towards using this as a complete system rather than like trying to like fill in the gap from other booklets. The next one, this is also on the docket. Like currently I have a memory keeping booklet. This is from Take a Note. This is their weekly in a B6 size. So this is their vertical weekly. And as you can tell, the paper is white. This essentially replaced my, this essentially ended up replacing my Hobonichi Hun that I bought last year. And I also bought one for this year, but I didn't end up actually using it. So I just kind of gave it away. And mainly because the sizing, the B6 size actually works a lot better for me. This is for full-blown family memory keeping. So I'm kind of doing some memory keeping, not just for myself, but more for like everybody else. I'm not even, I love a lot of things about this. Obviously, I'm not very heavily setting up my monthly, clearly. I'm not taking the time for that. But my weekly, I really do enjoy the weekly. I set it up in a way that it's very structured and it makes sense for me. And when I'm looking at the spreads, they look really visually appealing. They look really well put together, but it doesn't feel like it's overloaded with decor or deco. So I'm relatively consistent. Sometimes I do miss a little bit, but for the most part, I try my best to kind of come back to it and be up to date as much as possible. So my thoughts on this are the following. I really like a lot of these different elements. I love the way I journal here. I love the way this makes me feel. So there's like a lot of things that are going for this journal. And especially like when I'm going on like heavier weeks and I actually fill it out consistently, it makes me really happy. So if I take the time to kind of set everything up, I do find not so much that like I don't necessarily have like this internal checklist that says, wow, you did it. I feel the shift about halfway through as I'm filling things out and I'm reflecting on the things that happen, and I'm writing plans and things like that. Like as I'm using the planner itself for journaling, I find myself actually calming down in the process. So I think what ends up having me kind of return back to this time and time again is actually just the way that it makes me feel when I walk away versus just simply, you know, the act of me putting down a bunch of stickers. Hopefully that makes sense. So I'm more drawn to the practice than I am drawn to the book. And it's not to say that the book doesn't work, because it does. I really like the book, but the book to me can be replaced. So basically the way I feel about this is I'm still very much on the fence. I'm finding that like some of these systems that I had in place, they were kind of duplicating each other. And right now for 2026, my big hope is not to duplicate things, is to kind of give each journal and each planner a specific job so that I'm not overdoing it. Not so much, partially because I don't feel like overspending. And another part of it has a lot more to do with the fact that I also am very, very aware of my own energy levels. So it's more that I just don't want to overload my life with extra things, because extra things take up extra time and extra mental energy. And that's the part that I'm really, really highly aware of, where I just don't want to create space for things that are just, if they're not fueling me, then they're draining me. So hopefully that makes sense. And I don't know if you feel this way, but I have been, as I'm becoming busier and I'm adding more things into my virtual to-do list, I'm finding myself kind of really reflecting and getting really honest about what are things that are just taking up space in my life versus what is something that actually makes me happy. So hopefully that makes sense. But this actually makes me really happy. So I do see myself potentially buying another one for 2026. I'm not in a massive rush. So I will say that. I'm not in a massive rush to buy another one just yet. I don't feel the need like, oh, you better buy it by October 1st or you're like missing out. I don't feel that way. I'm kind of chill and I'm just like, let's see how it goes. But I know that it will get replaced. I know that I will buy a new one. I know that Paper Plus Cloth has it, or that they're getting it in. I know that I can probably order it from Take a Note directly. So there's multiple places where I can buy it from. I don't feel this massive pressure the way that most of us feel with Hobonichi, where it's like, oh, you better get it immediately or you're gonna miss out. And the thing is that if I do miss out, I also have an alternative, because then I could just buy sterling ink, right? So I mean, I don't know, like I'm just becoming a little bit more relaxed about how I feel about these planner systems and about these journals, because I really don't like this added undescribed pressure that society places on you, where you have to have everything figured out by fall, otherwise you're failing. I definitely don't subscribe to that. I don't think that that's the correct way of going about it, especially within a practice that's supposed to be healing and therapeutic versus. So that's it about the weekly one. I really like this weekly layout. I'm very happy that this is actually working for me. I don't feel that I need to go up a size. I do wish that this was like a different color paper, but I don't find that this bugs me. Do you know what I mean? I don't find that this bothers me. I really love the little extra grids that they put here, or like the extra dividers. It really makes it visually very easy for me to kind of make a division and to add extra things and to really do some micro journaling the way that I see it fit for that particular week. So that part makes me really happy. So that's it. Oh, and if you're wondering, the cover that I switched out to is actually the Superior Labor cover. This is in like this moss green. It's in a B6 size cover that they had at Baumkuchen a couple of years ago. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, you know what? This will work. This actually works for me. And the last one that I wanted to mention that I'm currently using and I will continue to use, and I will not have to repurchase it. This is from Midori. This is their 5-year Midori journal. So far, it's going good. I did take a little bit of a break from like July something. So I mean, I do have to go back and do some backdated journaling, but that's totally fine. But thankfully, I picked it back up in September. I'm not sure when in September, but sometime in September. I think we're here in, to about 3 weeks into September, I kind of clued in that, hey, maybe it would be a good idea to get back into this. I like this. I really love the idea of checking back in on how your year was, like what did I actually do on that Sunday in 2024. I usually just use this for like a couple of lines each day. And I made a point to just leave this on my desk because otherwise I forget, honestly. Because my mornings, I know why, because my mornings get really hectic and I don't take the time to use the planner right away and to use a journal right away. That's what it is. If I'm waking up first thing in the morning between 6 and 6:30, I immediately, after I'm having a coffee, I kind of go into just like packing lunches and stuff like that. So because I go into like productivity mode almost immediately, I don't get to actually like do the winding down and actually starting that slow morning that I have in mind. I don't start it until like 9:30. So because of that, because my morning routine is a little bit thrown off just based on with the kids going back to school and how I run my mornings, I think that that kind of throws out the actual momentum of what I foresee myself. But anyways, so I just usually leave it on my desk so that I take the time, and it's literally like a 2-minute practice. It's not a very lengthy thing. The only time this becomes lengthy is when I have to like backdate a bunch of journal entries. But I'm doing my best to being a little bit more diligent about it, and I know that it's one of those daily habits, that daily practices where I just have to get into the momentum and just get it done. I do love this booklet. I don't regret it. I think that it's nice more as like an archival system. And so like if I have all of these other systems happening, sometimes if I need to like do some backdating, then I kind of use those as references. So thank God that I have something like a weekly layout where I can kind of get the information, or I have like the daily journal that I'm more regular with, where I can kind of go and get some updates, because these fleeting moments, they come and go. And I think that sometimes when I'm looking back, I do realize that like how valuable the practice itself is, beyond just, hey, here's another booklet and just go and fill it out. So beyond like the day-to-day mundaneness of just journaling, I definitely like to like kind of condense of especially if I'm backdating, of just like how that day was, how did I feel, what my hopes are at that particular moment. But I definitely don't do obviously any long format journaling in this one. So this is just sort of like, it's like this constant humming of something that kind of captures my life in small snapshots. Something that I want when I want to look back on my weeks, that definitely has to go to the take a note, just because I think that this gives me more of an overview. And because I have these categories here of the priority, the mental health, the family, anything that's going on with the family, or like my personal best moments for the week, and then a weekly reflection, because I have like all of these different categories that I try to keep track of, it allows me to kind of see, or like reflect back on the week and view the week through all of these different lenses and capture them without really flooding what actually happened in the day. So I think that's the part that kind of draws me back in. I think a big part of it has to do with the layout and just how I feel when I'm actually journaling here. I don't feel like it's a chore. So when we're reflecting on all of this, I would have to say what's really working right now is obviously, out of the lineup here, the 5-year diary is definitely working, along with Take a Note. And then, so it's sort of like we have a 50-50 shot here, because here, this is sort of like a wish list with the TN, that when I do use it, I do like it. And then when I'm not using it, I'm kind of feeling like I'm missing out on not using it. And then what's more than likely not going to be working, even though I love the system, but I love the idea of it, but I also see how it doesn't fit into my life anymore. And that has to be the Hibino. And it's not to say that I don't like the journal itself, because it was working for me for like 2 years, but based on my own habits, it's no longer going to be it for me. So I do see myself replacing this with something different, something small and compact that is in an A6 size. I'm not 100% on it as to which one will it be. In the full lineup that I'm going to be talking to you guys about a little bit later on, we will kind of talk more about it. But for now, I just know that Hibino is definitely going to be one of the journals that I'm planning on replacing with something else. And what's on my wish list? Well, I have to say, what's on my wish list currently is potentially the Hobonichi in a Hobonichi cousin in an A6 size. The draw is that it has the Tomo River paper. I can add in the pictures that I want to. Granted, I can add in pictures here too. So that's not really, and I can add in pictures here too. But the main thing is that everything is kind of structured in like one page, and I don't feel that pressure. The other one that is also very tempting is the Midori Diary in A6 size, only because I get one page per day and everything is blank. So that's kind of like a downside of it, because it's because it has like, because it's not dated, I don't feel that structure, but that could also be a good thing when something is undated. I have thought about potentially, if I'm not going to go with the Take a Note, which more than likely I will, but if I don't go with the Take a Note, then my alternative for that would be the Sterling ink in a B6 size, just because, simply because I do enjoy the paper quality. I do enjoy the layout, but I kind of love Take a Note just a smidge more. But like, let's say I can't get the Take a Note, then my second choice would have to be the Common Planner or the Commonplace book from Sterling Ink in a B6 size. I will take a look. I think that she also came up with a new one that has like the days in there. So that might be like a nice happy medium between the Hobonichi and the Take a Note and Midori. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I'm not 100% sold on it. And I think because I'm waiting, I'm going to kind of explore all the options and see which one actually makes sense to me. And that's like, to be fair, like that's sort of like the whole point of planner season, is so that you can kind of take a look and figure it all out. And then the insert that I have here, like, thank goodness, you know, like it's a grid notebook. Like, it's not that deep. It's not that big of a deal. I definitely want to do a lot more of this style of journaling where I'm adding the ephemera, I'm adding in the layering, and I'm not even 100% sold that this would be the best insert for that, only because I remember getting ready for like one of the Traveler's Notebook videos, and I looked back on what I used last year, and the paper was not actually Tomo River paper. It was like a lot sturdier. It was more of the it was more of a TN insert, and some of the TN inserts, especially if it's like a grid paper or line paper, they are usually they're usually a lot sturdier paper than what you get here. So if I were to like tape in things and add in ephemera, then it would not be that big of an issue. I'm just kind of thinking to myself, like, if I were to add like something here, like a small picture here as a sticker, how likely would that hold up, and how much of an issue would that be for me, like crinkling up the paper and whatever? Do you know what I mean? So I don't know. I'm still kind of battling with that, but I alternatively, if that becomes an issue, I also still have my A5 size notebook from Midori. And I mean, the paper here could easily handle more ephemera and stuff like that. So maybe more emotional long format journaling could come here. And then if I wanted to do more memory keeping where I'm adding pictures and stuff like that, then maybe this would work. But I mean, I actually bought this originally. I didn't mention this because I don't use this very often, but only when I really want to do more long format journaling, that's the only time this comes out. So I didn't really include this into this lineup because it didn't feel current. You know what I mean? Like, I bought that like 2 years ago. But anyways, so here, if I'm just evaluating this based on potentially how I would be using this going forward and into 2026, I am not 100% sure that this paper could handle all of the pictures that I would like to add in there. So I could try. Like, it would be cool with just like the stickers and the layering, but as soon as you start adding pictures and just heavier ephemera where you layer things up, I think that this would get chunky, and the writing experience might not be what I'm hoping it will be. So I don't know. I'll have to kind of play around with that and see. So on the wish list currently, I would have the Sterling Inks B6 size planner. I'm gonna have to take a look at the lineup again of what she released newly. I know that she was taking like a lot of pre-orders, so I don't know. Like, it would be nice if you could just simplify it and you can go into her website and it would not be an issue and it would be available anytime. But that's, you know, I understand she's running a small business. I will take a look if you can still do pre-orders, or if we're gonna go with the Take a Note. Right now, it's very much just like all of these are just options. and I'm trying to figure out how I'm planning on using them and then lean into that versus buying everything super quick and then I change my mind and I'm going, okay, great, good job. Like this, what you bought does not work for you. So I'm just giving myself at least about a month of grace to kind of figure it all out. And I think that's kind of the beauty of journaling and the planner systems, is that if you give yourself that grace to figure out what your needs are, what you're naturally drawn to, how you're planning on using it, what type of inks, and what you're actually planning on adding into your journals, then this becomes so much more clear and a lot less pressure added. So then it becomes more thoughtful of what you're actually end up buying. This is basically all I wanted to share with you. I would love to know. Please tell me in the comment section below where you're at with your journal lineup, because hopefully you have a lot more clarity on it than I do. But nevertheless, I hope you're enjoying planner season. Thanks so much for watching, you guys, and just keep planning, keep journaling, keep doing all the things. This is all I have for you. I wanted to thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you have enjoyed this video. If you did, you can give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you haven't had a chance to just yet. And just keep planning, keep journaling, keep doing all the things. And I cannot wait to see you in my next video. Bye.